Welcome to Football with Cheese. Happy Friday, everyone. So, this is the NFL Week 6 preview. Yes, it's already Week 6. Crazy. And we're also going to talk about the Giants-Eagles game last night because it is more important than you realize what happened in the game, and we'll break that down. But first, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss one of my videos, and share this with anyone who loves football so we can grow the channel. Tell your friends to subscribe to Football with Cheese. And make sure you check out every Tuesday night, Lights Out Podcast, me and Mike, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, where we talk about baseball, college football, and of course, NFL. Giants 34, Eagles 17. In my Pick'em League, I'm glad I took the Giants to cover the 7.5 points. Thought it was way too much, especially because the Giants were at home. But the Eagles got the ball first. They went up 3-0. Sure, okay. And then the Giants, right down the field touchdown. Got it back, right down the field touchdown. The Eagles' pass defense had breakdowns, especially early on. Not sure what happened. But the Eagles rallied, scored twice in a row, ended up taking the lead. Jalen Hurts had that flip play. He just flips the ball to Dallas Goedert, and he gets a touchdown. They've done it like 3 times this year, and it's worked every time. But eventually someone's going to anticipate it and jump it and get a pick six. That's my prediction, if they keep trying it. It's just a weird play. It's like, here, have the ball. But there was a sequence where the Eagles had the ball inside the 10, and it was 3rd and 1, then 4th and 1, then 1st and goal, 2nd goal, and they ran 4 straight tush pushes. And on the, I believe it was the 3rd and 1, it could have been the 4th and 1, clear false start. And this keeps happening. It's not called. This is one of the reasons the tush push should be banned, in my opinion. I am definitely anti-tush push, and not because my favorite team, the Packers, proposed the ban on it. I don't think you should be able to push any offensive player forward. It's already hard enough to play defense. But on any play, you know how the offensive linemen just push a player in to the end zone? I don't think you should be able to do it all. An offensive player should not be able to push another offensive player. That's why I think it should be banned. But there needs to be a rule where you can challenge a false start on a tush push. I get it. You don't want to challenge a false start on any play. But you should be able to challenge it on a tush push because it's not getting called. And it would have been 3rd and 6 or 4th and 6. I can't remember if it was a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. I can't remember. But it's just awful. It's not a good football play, and it's terrible TV. And a lot of people in X were not happy with it. Obviously, Eagles fans don't care because it works for them. They're very good at it. No doubt about it. But just terrible football, and they're not calling the false start. Giants won by 17 anyway, but they just need to get rid of it. And I think now, after watching that, they're going to have enough votes in the offseason. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think the tush push should be banned? Is it bad football? Micah Parsons had a great tweet saying it's trash, and it is. But let's get back into the game. Brian Burns, the edge rusher for the Giants, he's an absolute beast. He had 2 sacks in this game. Why did Carolina trade him? I guess they didn't want to pay him. He signed a 5-year, $141 million extension, but compared to what edge rushers are getting now, that's a bargain. The Panthers got a 2nd-round pick for him, and there's some other pick swaps. But they have pass rush issues, and the defense isn't very good. They could really use Brian Burns. The 2nd-round pick, they either used it to trade up for Xavier Legette, who's not been good at all, minus a really good play this past week, or maybe Jonathan Brooks. Those are their 2 picks they had in the 2nd round in 2024. And Jonathan Brooks is a really good running back at Texas, but he's barely played because he's been hurt the entire time. So Giants definitely won that trade. But did you see Jackson Dart left the game briefly because he lowered his helmet into an Eagles defender? So stupid. Don't do that, Jackson Dart. He's pretty reckless at this point in his career. He's a rookie. So he's in the medical tent. And Russell Wilson comes in and throws a play into the ground and gets booed by the Giants fans immediately. They didn't give him another chance to start booing him. Wow. But he comes out, returns to the game. And then the Giants get a 27-17 lead. Big drive for the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts finally throws his first interception of the year. One of those late, lazy throws to the sideline. The receiver ran an out route. Pick 6 for Cordell Flott. Huge play. He was a third-round pick out of LSU, I believe, in 2022. And the Eagles, they were done after that. Terrible second half. Once again, they did not score in the second half. They didn't score in the last 5 drives against the Broncos last week. The offense just goes to sleep for some reason in the second half. It's a total mess. It's hard to believe this is the team that beat Washington and Kansas City in the NFC title game in the Super Bowl last year, because their offense was amazing in those games, and it looks just awful right now. Cam Scatterbo, big game, got 3 touchdowns. He got a taunting penalty for screaming first down in the defender's face. I know they're cracking down on him, but that's absolutely ridiculous. But did you see the hit on Zach Bond? Cam Scatterbo's finishing a play, and Zach Bond, he's an undersized linebacker, a very good linebacker. And Cam Scatterbo hits him and just knocks him back. I'm going to link it in the description, the hit. Incredible play. The Giants had lost 9 straight games in the division. I did not realize that. Really needed this win. And A.J. Dillon, backup running back for the Eagles, he had a fumble. The problem with that is A.J. Dillon is on your team. He sucks. He absolutely sucks. There's got to be someone on a practice squad on any of the 31 other teams better than A.J. Dillon. But Saquon Barkley, he started out with, I believe, an 18-yard run on the first drive and then got 40 yards total after that. Terrible. He looks slow. He doesn't look like the same Saquon. He's just not hitting the hole as fast. I just don't know what to make with this Eagles offense, but it's not working, whatever they're doing. The Eagles have been outgained now in all 6 games. They are 4-2, but they've been outgained in all 6 games. And Eagles had 2 turnovers, Giants 0. Now, like I said in the intro, this game is very important for both teams. Let's talk about the Giants first. Giants have been bad for several years in a row. They had a disastrous free agency in 2024 when they lost Saquon Barkley, when they lost Xavier McKinney. They did trade for Brian Burns. That's the one good move they made. But it was a disaster, and it was on Hard Knocks off-season, so we got to see it all. By the way, no team volunteered this past year. They didn't have it. I get it. But Joe Schoen, the GM, and Brian Daboll, the head coach, looked like they were probably not going to make it. They started 1-4, lost to the Saints last week. If they finish 4-13, probably both are going to be let go. That's at least what most people thought. In fact, a lot of people thought they'd be fired last year. But the Giants ownership likes to preach patience, so they kept him in. Joe Schoen has drafted well, in my opinion, the last 2 years. But this is a big game for them. And if they can even go 7-10, they're 2-4 right now. Yeah, 2-4. Even 7-10, I think they both keep their jobs. 8-9, 9-8 for sure. Don't think they're going to go 9-8, but the Giants showed a lot of improvement. They looked really good on offense. So, big win for the Giants at home, Thursday night, prime time. And the Eagles, wow. They don't look like a good team at all. They look like a team that's going to pick 9th or 10th in the draft. They're lucky to be 4-2. They were down 26-7 to the Rams and somehow won that game. They beat the Cowboys by 4 points in opening night. And CeeDee Lamb had all these drops. I think he had 3 in the fourth quarter. Or the Cowboys probably win that game. Eagles easily could be 2-4. So the Eagles got to figure this out. And you know how their fans are. What have you done for me lately? Nick Sirianni, they're going to call for his job if games like this continue, even though he just won the Super Bowl. Okay, now the previews. I'm going to go quick on some of these because there's just not much to talk about, especially games where there's 2 bad teams playing. But there's another London game. A lot of you have told me that you don't get up and watch it or maybe catch the end, but that's okay. You don't have to. I will watch it, and I will recap it. Broncos are 3-2. Jets are 0-5. Broncos favored by 7. Jets are just terrible. Okay, that's it. Broncos will cover. No. But the Jets are terrible. They are so disappointing on defense. I thought their defense would be decent, like good, not great, especially getting Aaron Glenn, who was the defensive coordinator of the Lions last year. He's now the head coach. And the Broncos, they're 3-2. They could be 4-1. That leverage penalty against the Colts. They basically had the game won, but some idiot jumps over the pile and they call a 15-yard penalty. I don't know why it's 15 yards. That's a little too much. It should be 5 yards. But anyway, Bo Nix got off to a bad start this year. He started 1-2. He got off to a bad start last year, and I thought because he was a rookie, or maybe he just doesn't get going till week 5. But he looked much better, had a great second half, great fourth quarter against the Eagles. Nick Bonitto has been outstanding. Edge rusher for the Broncos. He had 2.5 sacks last year. Broncos, to me, had the best pass rush in the NFL. Good luck with that, Jets. And Olu Fashanu, second-year left tackle, who I really liked a lot coming into the draft. He's struggled. He's athletic. He's got length. He should be better than this, but he has struggled. So that could be a matchup to watch. And the Jets just need to run the ball with Breece Hall and Justin Fields, a quarterback. He can run. They need to run the ball and keep their defense off the field. I think the Broncos win and cover in London. Rams are at the Ravens. Rams are 3-2. Ravens 1-4. Rams are favored by 7.5. Ravens got absolutely obliterated by the Texans last week, and I think we could see something similar. I've never seen a team have so many key injuries to key players than the Ravens this year. I think Lamar Jackson's going to miss it as well. And he's a 2-time MVP. He's amazing. So the Rams win and cover the 7.5. Do I need to talk more about this? I guess we'll talk a little bit more, but that's pretty much it. The Rams should win this easily. You know, Rams are coming off a tough loss to the Niners. They should have won that game, lost in overtime. And they lost to the Eagles, like I mentioned, when they had a 26-7 lead. I just think Sean McVay is not a good head coach, or he's not having a good year. Yes, he has a Super Bowl, but I don't like his play calling. I don't like his late game decision making. Puka Nacua will probably catch 29 passes in this game. He's on pace for 177 catches. The record is 149. Former Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas. Now, Thomas did it in 160 games, but Puka Nacua will probably have 149 by the time 16 games are up. If he stays healthy, he should shatter that record. It is an early start. That's a theme. A lot of West Coast teams are playing on the East Coast this week for whatever reason. But the Ravens' only hope this year is if, one, they get healthy, obviously, and two, the Steelers finish something like 9-8. Maybe they can catch them. But I don't think they win this game. I think they'll go 1-5. Yeah, give me the Rams to win easily and cover the 7.5. Seahawks, another West Coast team, 3-2 at the Jaguars 4-1. Jaguars favored by 1.5. So Jaguars have looked pretty good this year. Beat the Chiefs on Monday night, but only favored by 1.5. So Vegas doesn't buy them yet. There was a weird trade yesterday between the Jaguars and Browns. Tyson Campbell, who got paid a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that, and he should not have. He was traded to the Browns for Greg Newsome, so cornerback for cornerback swap. So Newsome was a former first-round pick. He's a free agent at the end of the season. Obviously, the Browns weren't going to re-sign him. That's why they made this trade. They think that they got the better player in Tyson Campbell. Campbell, to me, just was not a good fit in Anthony Campanilla's defense. He's more of a man corner. He's not a very good zone corner. And he's not played up to that contract. I remember when they paid him, he had never been that great a player. And the Jaguars came out and said, well, we don't want to keep signing free agents. We want to keep our own players. That was their excuse for overpaying a corner that's never been very good. Well, draft better and re-sign those guys. Don't pay a guy just to pay a guy. Such a dumb move. The Jaguars, they're 4-1, but they've made so many bad decisions over the years. But they do have some talent on this team, no doubt about it. But it frees up the Jaguars' future cap. I think they save $50 million in the next 2 years. Not next year, but next 2 years combined by moving the contract. So I get it from both sides. But anyway, let's talk the Seahawks. Tough loss at home to the Bucs. Game they absolutely should have won. Led most of the game. Lost on an interception late, 38-35. The big problem with the Seahawks is their secondary is not healthy. Julian Love, the safety, is out. Devin Witherspoon, their corner, is out. They're both very good players. Maybe not elite, not great players, but very good players in that secondary. And that really hurt last week against the Bucs. Jaguars obviously coming off a huge win versus the Chiefs. Jaguars, the main reason they're 4-1 is they've been forcing turnovers. 3 of their 4 wins are one-score games. They beat the Panthers pretty easily. Then again, it's the Panthers. But they've been forcing turnovers. And to me, that's amazing, first of all. Your defense is forcing turnovers. But it's not sustainable. You're going to have games where you don't force any. So I'm still not buying the Jaguars. I need to see more because Trevor Lawrence is too inconsistent. He has some throws he looks amazing. It's like, oh, wow, he's so good. And other throws, you're like, what are you doing? And his chemistry with Brian Thomas Jr., they're not on the same page this year. Brian Thomas Jr. just has not been as good as his rookie year, which was amazing. It's a tough game to pick. If the Jaguars can get consistent pressure on Sam Darnold, they'll be fine. Josh Hines-Allen has been amazing. Devin Lloyd, both of them are Defensive Player of the Year candidates. Devin Lloyd has 2 huge pick sixes this season. Pretty much won them in the game against the Chiefs. I don't know. Another West Coast team starting early. 10 a.m. local start for the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are better. I think they're a good offensive team. I think they're a good defensive team. But Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love probably not going to play. And early start and probably humid weather. God, I hate taking the Jaguars to cover any spread because Trevor Lawrence could just be awful at any game. But give me the Jaguars to cover the 1.5. Okay. Cowboys, Panthers. Cowboys favored by 3 on the road in Carolina. Cowboys are 2-2-1. Panthers are 2-3. Dak Prescott is playing like an MVP. And he's still playing amazing with CeeDee Lamb out. It's pretty incredible. I saw a stat that Dak is completing 67% of his passes. Not overall, under pressure. 67% under pressure this season. Like 50% is usually pretty good. I don't know if it's sustainable. We'll see. Cowboys beat the Jets on the road last week. Panthers beat the Dolphins at home. In a game they were down 17-0. They rallied. Panthers have played well at home in the 2 games. They're 2-0 at home, 0-3 on the road, and they've been awful on the road. So this is a tough call. Bryce Young, just like Trevor Lawrence, he's so hit and miss. He looks so good for one half and terrible the next. And he was so bad early on against Dolphins, and he played well in the second half, and they won. But I think this is going to be a shootout. Both defenses are not good. Cowboys' defense is just horrible. Rico Dowdle is running back for the Panthers. He played his first 4 years for the Cowboys. They let him go in free agency. Ran for over 200 yards last week. Now, it was the Dolphins, but the Cowboys' run defense sucks too. And Chuba Hubbard probably not going to play with that calf injury. He's a starting running back for the Panthers. And Rico Dowdle is going to want to torch the Cowboys for not re-signing him. I think both running backs are going to go off. Javonte Williams has been tremendous for the Cowboys. Really good free agent pickup from the Broncos. Looks like a bargain. So does Rico Dowdle. Wow. I'm going to take the Panthers to cover the 3. Cowboys favored by 3 on the road. I love taking home dogs. It's going to take a few more probably in this video. So give me the Panthers to cover the 3. Browns 1-4 at the Steelers 3-1. Steelers by 5.5. This is a tricky one to call. Steelers are coming off a bye because they played in London 2 weeks ago. Browns played in London last week. Lost a heartbreaker to the Vikings and didn't have a bye. That's tough. To hop back across the pond without a bye, with all that jet lag. So dumb not to have a bye after the London game. It's so dumb to have London games anyway. If you watch all my videos, you know I hate international games for multiple reasons. Not going to get into it. Dylan Gabriel's second start. I think the Steelers will put a lot of pressure on him. They have a really good defensive line. They're going to get to him early and often. Steelers should win this game, but they really haven't played well this year. They beat the Patriots because they forced 5 turnovers. They beat the Jets in a shootout game where the Jets had a horrible special teams penalty, gave the Steelers 7 points. Steelers easily could have lost those games, but they didn't. The matchup to watch is Myles Garrett versus Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones has not been a good left tackle. Entering his 3rd year, he's a first-round pick in 2023. They're going to have to give him help, and I think they will. But that is a matchup to watch. I like how the Steelers ran the ball in, I guess it was Ireland, not London, by the way. I said they played in London. They played in Ireland. But they ran the ball despite Jaylen Warren being out. I think he's back. They've got to keep running the ball and work the play action and feature DK Metcalf more down the field. He's big and he's fast and he's their best playmaker on offense by far. For some reason, they keep spreading it out. I don't get it. But this could be low scoring because both defenses could get to the quarterback early and often. Aaron Rodgers, just don't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes and they should be fine. This is so tough. Because the Browns have covered a lot of spreads this year. I wish it was 3.5, not 5.5. But give me the Steelers to cover the 5.5. Mainly because the Browns didn't have a bye after playing in London. Patriots, Saints, Patriots by 3.5. That is a small spread, so it's a possible letdown game after the Patriots won at Buffalo. And I think Vegas thinks that. They think the Patriots might have a letdown, like Green Bay gets those 2 big victories over Detroit and Washington, then goes to Cleveland and lays a brick. But the Saints played really well last week. Got to mention that. They beat the Giants 26-14. Patriots side, Drake May has looked amazing. So is Stephon Diggs. He looks healthy. Question for the Patriots is they're not running the ball very well. Why is Ramondre Stevenson even active? Why is he your starting running back? I think he's fumbled in every game this year, and he had 2 in 4 carries against the Steelers. Cost them the game. I would just have him inactive. Feature TreVeyon Henderson. He was your 2nd-round pick. You cannot have a guy fumble. And they keep featuring him. He fumbles and comes right back in the game. What are they doing? It's not like Ramondre Stevenson is this amazing back. Like he's going to run for 1,800 yards this year or anything like that. He should be inactive. Because Patriots, they're 3-2 now. Like I said, big victory over the Bills. They have a light schedule. Look like they could be a playoff team, but they've got to run the ball. They've got to find a running game, or they won't do anything in the playoffs, assuming they make it. The key for the Saints is Spencer Rattler not turning the ball over, just playing decent like he did last week. Maybe hit a deep pass to Rashid Shaheed. That was a big play. The Patriots forced 3 turnovers last week. If they do that again, they'll win easily. This is tough because I think the Patriots could have a letdown, and the Saints are tough in the dome. They're much better in the dome than on the road. Patriots favored by 3.5. Give me the Patriots to win by 4, 24-20, and cover. They have a letdown, but they still cover. I just cannot pick the Saints to cover spread. I just can't because they don't have a good roster. Okay. Chargers, 3-2 at the Dolphins, 1-4. Chargers are favored by 4.5. There's some big-time offensive line injuries for the Chargers. The top 3 offensive tackles, I believe, are out. And their top 2 running backs. That's a problem. They've lost their last 2 games, and they lost a game on the East Coast of the Giants a couple weeks ago. The Dolphins are missing Tyreek Hill. He's out for the year. And they're not a good team. They suck. Let's be honest, they do. The Dolphins' strength was supposed to be pass rush on defense. It's been disappointing because they have some good young pass rushers. But this is a game where they should shine with all the injuries to the Chargers. At least the pass rush should shine, not overall Dolphins. Let me correct that. You have Jalen Phillips, you have veteran Bradley Chubb, you have Chop Robinson. They should be doing better this year. Despite the running back injuries, the Chargers have to run the ball. Because of the offensive tackle injuries, you can't let Herbert just stand back there in the pocket. So they have to run the ball. Rico Dowdle, like we mentioned, ran for over 200 yards against the Dolphins last week. And he's a backup. I'm calling this. Bold prediction. Kamani Vidal, who was on the practice squad last week for the Chargers, he will have a 100-yard game. I think they'll feature him more than Hassan Haskins, who was a third-string running back going into the season. Vidal was a 6th-round pick last year out of Troy. He was one of those that a lot of draft analysts had as a sleeper, but didn't make the team this year, but made the practice squad. So I would feature Vidal more. Maybe use Haskins, who's a real big back. Use him in the red zone. But I don't know. 10 a.m. start, and it's probably going to be really humid, which the Chargers are not used to. Give me the Dolphins to cover 4.5. Wait, did I just pick the Dolphins to cover spread? Give me the Chargers. Give me the Chargers on the road, early and humid weather. No, give me the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins. I can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm taking the Chargers. I'm not taking the Dolphins. Chargers win by 7. Okay. Cardinals, Colts. We're going to go quick with this one because I don't have much to say about it. We talked a lot about the Cardinals in the recap and on the Lights Out podcast with me and Mike. Every Tuesday, link in the description, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. We had a lot to say about the disaster that was the Cardinals versus the Titans. I don't think I've ever seen a worse collapse in the regular season in my life. Colts offense looks incredible. They really don't have a weakness. If Daniel Jones plays well, doesn't turn the ball over, they don't have a weakness. They have good receivers, good running backs, really good offensive line. One of the best young tight ends in the game, Tyler Warren. How did he fall to pick 14? He should have been a top 5 pick. Holy shit. Did you not watch Penn State football? Did you not watch the film last year? Why did he fall to 14? The Bears picked 10. It didn't take him. Hilarious. Okay. A little animated there. A little animated. But Tyler Warren, man, I had him like 7th best player in the draft, and that was wrong. I should have had him higher. Kyler Murray might not play. I don't think it matters. Something is just not working with the Cardinals. Even if they win that game against the Titans, something is not working. The defense is better than it's been the last few years, but something's not working with the offense and the team overall. Maybe it's Jonathan Gannon, the head coach. I don't know. It's just not working. I don't want to spend much time on this. Favored by 7, should be more. They win easily and cover it. The Cardinals have a legit shot. They're 2-3 to be 2-7. Their next 4 games at the Colts, Packers at home, at the Cowboys, at the Seahawks. I think they're going to be 2-7. Just a potentially disaster season for the Cardinals, who I thought were a 10-win team coming into the year. I thought they'd make the playoffs because of the defense improvement. Okay, Titans at Raiders. Do we have to play this game? The only people who are going to watch this are the families of the players. And they might tune out at halftime and switch to a better game. Titans 1-4, Raiders 1-4. Raiders favored by 4.5. Vegas really doesn't like the Titans. This is a draft pick game. If you win in October, you lose in April. Both teams' fan bases should want them to lose. Trust me, you want to pick as high as possible. The Raiders need a quarterback because Geno Smith is bleeping terrible. And if the Titans get the first pick, they can trade back. They already have their quarterback, Cam Ward, who's the first overall pick this year. Trade back and get a whole new offensive line, whole new receiving core because it's needed. Titans are coming off their first win. I wouldn't even really call it a win. More like a Cardinals loss because the Cardinals gave them the game. Cam Ward did throw a pick in that game. It ended up a touchdown for the Titans after the defensive back fumbled, got kicked in the end zone. One of the craziest plays I've ever seen. But the knock on Cam Ward, to me, coming into the draft, why I was not as high on him as most, was he threw a lot of passes that should have been intercepted that were dropped. I think it was 8, 9, maybe even 10. He just took too many chances. Pretty reckless. Although Jordan Love was this too, his last year at Utah State. That's a topic for another day. So I thought Cam Ward could throw 25, maybe even 30 interceptions this year. But he really hasn't. He's been much more careful with the ball than I thought he'd be. Considering he has a horrible offensive line and the receivers aren't very good, I really thought he would lead the league in interceptions, and he's probably not going to because Geno Smith exists, and he probably will. So something positive with Titans. Cam Ward hasn't thrown a lot of picks, and they just had their first win. But the Geno Smith that played for the Jets is back. Being reckless with the ball, making dumb decisions. Somehow the Seahawks got the best out of him the last 2 years. He wasn't great, but he was above average, borderline good for the Seahawks. And the Raiders made such a dumb trade, and then paying him 2 years, $75 million, 66 guaranteed extension. So he's not going anywhere for cap reasons. They need to draft their future quarterback next year. The Raiders' offensive line isn't very good. They can't run block. That's why Ashton Jeanty has not gone off. Once he gets a better run-blocking offensive line, he will be a terror in this league. Trust me. And Colton Miller, left tackle, is out. You know what? I'm going to take the Titans. Minus 4.5. Why not? Both teams are terrible. So I'll just take the underdog. Okay. 49ers are at Tampa 4-1 versus 4-1. Buccaneers favored by 3. The CBS game of the week was supposed to be Packers-Bengals. We'll talk about that in a second. Because Joe Burrow versus Jordan Love. But Burrow's hurt. So this became the 4:25 game of the week. Tony Romo, Jim Nantz game. Niners are lucky. Because it could have been a 10 a.m. start. But it is the 1:25 start their time. Pacific time. Both teams are coming off huge road wins. The Niners beat the Rams. Division game. Buccaneers won at Seattle. For the Buccaneers, Mike Evans is still out. But Emeka Egbuka has been tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. The favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bucky Irving is likely out as well. But those two injuries to Evans and Irving did not hurt them last week. They still scored 38 points. And even though Bucky Irving is a very good running back, they have pretty good backups there. Brock Purdy might not play. I'm getting the feeling Mac Jones will make another start because he's one of the better backups in the league. So when in doubt, just rest Brock Purdy. And you need him for the long haul. Also doesn't look good for Ricky Pearsall. He's got a knee injury. He wasn't shot again. He was shot last year. San Francisco not the safest city in the country anymore. So, yeah, he wasn't shot. He has a knee injury. But Mac Jones, I just mentioned him. He's 3-0, undefeated as a starter. But I think the Bucs are going to take this one. The Niners, despite all their injuries, they haven't had Ayuk. George Kittle's barely played. Now Ricky Pearsall's out. They cannot keep getting lucky and finding a way to win. They had injury issues early in the season in 2024 and just lost all those games. They're winning them all this year. I think their luck will probably run out. So give me the Bucs to win and cover the 3. Bengals, Packers. Bengals are 2-3. Packers are 2-1-1. So technically, they both have the same amount of wins, too. So it should be a good game, right? No. The Packers are favored by 14.5. And honestly, I thought it was going to be 17 or 17.5. Joe Flacco is now the quarterback of the Bengals. I did an instant reaction. I will link it in one of these boxes at the end. And I trashed the move. And the more I think about it, I'll say this, the more I hate it. Even more. You needed to trade for a quarterback that can handle pressure because the offensive line's terrible. And that is a big arm that throws a good deep ball. Because that's what the Bengals offense is. Getting Chase and Higgins the ball down the field. Unbelievable receiving core. That is the strength of the offense. And Burrow can do that. He can handle pressure well, and he can get the ball down the field to those receivers. Joe Flacco cannot move at this point in his career. He is pretty much a dink and dunk quarterback. He used to have a big arm and get the ball down the field, but now he dinks and dunks it. He's just such a terrible fit. He is maybe a slight upgrade over Jake Browning. He'll probably throw fewer picks, but they're second and third in the league in interceptions. Only Geno Smith has more, obviously. But I just don't see this working. And you should have traded for someone like a Malik Willis for Green Bay. You probably had to give up a day 2 pick. That's the problem. And you don't want to give up any draft capital for next year because you need so much. But at least Malik Willis has a cannon arm. He can throw the deep ball to those 2 receivers, and he can run. He's very mobile. Or even Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's decision-making accuracy aren't what they used to be, but at least he can move, and he's got a really good deep ball. That was a strength last year for the Steelers, hitting George Pickens deep. In Week 2 against the Cowboys with Malik Neighbors, he was throwing the ball deep, hitting balls down the field. I think he threw for 400 yards. So he would have been a better fit. Joe Flacco just doesn't make any sense to me. He was on the couch like 3 years ago. And someone had an injury. I think it was the Browns, might have been the Colts, and called him and said, "Can you back up for us?" I think he was done. But he just dinks and dunks it. Makes no sense. It doesn't make them much better at all. Maybe not any better. This is a lost season for them. They didn't give up much. I think this is going to be an absolute slaughter. I really do. Packers need to get Matthew Golden more involved, their first-round pick at receiver. He's talented. He runs good routes. Get him involved. One of my biggest problems with the Packers' game plans is it's always spread it out. Take the best option. Get everyone involved. I get it. It's going to work on some games, especially if you're going against a team that has like one really good corner and the rest of them are terrible. Then you just look at the best matchup. But you need to feature Matthew Golden more. Use a first-round pick on him. He's very talented. Tucker Kraft. You need to have 7 or 10 plays for Tucker Kraft in every game plan. In some games, he gets 4 or 5 touches. 3 catches for 18 yards. And with the Jaden Reed injury, I thought Matthew Golden would all of a sudden be involved in all the game plans. And he really hasn't. So I'd like to see that. And the Packers, one of the reasons they drafted Matthew Golden is drops were an issue last year, especially Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed. They have 2 drops all year. Lowest percentage in the NFL. Yes, the Packer receivers. Going back to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It's been an issue for almost a decade. But they only have dropped 2 passes all year. Just thought that was an interesting stat. One more thing about the Packers. Brandon McManus has a quad injury. He's their kicker, and he's a very good kicker. So that's something to monitor. They brought in some kickers for tryouts. But if you don't have a kicker, you can't get it blocked because they've had a lot of kicks blocked this year. So Packers by 14.5. I think they cover by halftime. I think it's going to be an absolute slaughter. 3 games left. Sunday Night Football. It's a good one. Lions 4-1 at the 2-3 Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 2.5. Both starting corners for the Lions are likely out. But Chiefs still don't have Rashee Rice. Last game without him. If they had Rashee Rice, I might pick him. I'm probably not going to. I haven't really decided. Taylor Decker has a shoulder issue. He may not play. He's the left tackle for the Lions. If the Chiefs can somehow win, they'll be 3-3, and at worst, one game behind the division. But the Chargers play the Dolphins. Broncos play the Jets. So if they lose, they're probably going to be 2 back. And 2-4 teams make the playoffs 9.3% of the time. The last to do it, the Packers in 2023. Packers actually started 2-5 that year, but Jordan Love got really hot in the second half. I just don't think the Chiefs can hang with the Lions the way they're playing. Lions really struggled week 1, and it was the interior offensive line. It was Micah Parsons. Pretty much was the reason they lost that game. They actually got dominated. It was really 27-6 late, and they got a late touchdown. It was probably not a touchdown, but since then the Lions has been amazing. So I'm going to take them to cover the 2.5 and win outright in Kansas City. I just think the Lions are playing really well. Bills 4-1 at Atlanta 2-2. Bills are favored by 4.5. I wonder if the spread would have been 6.5-7 if the Bills had beat the Patriots, because the Bills haven't covered 3 straight spreads. They just haven't looked very good. The defense has been vulnerable. Falcons are coming off their bye. I think it was 26 straight games. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, where the Bills won the turnover battle and finally lost it last week 3-1, and they lost the game. But that's the only way you stop the Bills' offense, forcing turnovers, because Josh Allen is amazing. You already know he won the MVP last year. James Cook's amazing. Dalton Kincaid's finally playing like a first-round pick. He's looked terrific. You just can't stop him. You have to force turnovers. And you have to score a lot of points. The Bills won a game this year, week 1, against the Ravens. The Ravens scored 40 points, and the Bills still won. There was a game last year where the Lions put up 42 on the Bills, and the Bills still won because their offense is so good. Falcons, here's how you do it. This is how you win the game. You run the ball with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. Run. Bijan Robinson could give the Bills a lot of trouble. Bills' defense, we've talked about it in many videos. Their defense is vulnerable. It's been a bad run defense for years, and their cornerback room is not very good. Bad combination. Their defensive line, all of them are better at rushing the passer than stopping the run. It's a good defensive line, don't get me wrong. It is. It's got some playmakers on it. But all of them are better at rushing the passer. You got to get ahead of the Bills. You got to force turnovers and run the ball on them. Now, can the Falcons do all that? I don't know. But I'm going to take the Bills to bounce back. I just don't think the Falcons are good enough to overcome all of that. And I think the Bills will feel some pressure. Patriots only one game out and they beat them. Realize maybe we're not as good as we thought. And I think they'll come back and they'll cover the 4.5. I just don't love the Falcons' passing game with Penix. So, yeah, give me the Bills to cover the 4.5. Last game, Bears 2-2 at the Commanders 3-2. Washington is favored by 4.5. Washington's coming off a huge win in LA versus the Chargers. Bears are coming off their bye. Terry McLaurin, unlikely to play with a quad issue. Originally, when he hurt that, it sounded like it'd be 1 week, but now it's 3 weeks in a row. So that's something to monitor. Maybe that will linger. Maybe they should have put him on IR. But it really hasn't hurt them. The main reason, Deebo Samuel's played really well this year. Who saw that coming? He showed up to minicamp chonky, or chubby. I like to say chonky. And he's coming off an injury-plagued year where he just looked like he checked out a little in some games. But it helps. Jaden Daniels in Washington's offense is playing the Bears' defense because it's terrible. It's really, really bad. And Ashton Gianti went off on them. That's the one game he did well. Didn't matter if the offensive line didn't run block. So Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt could have a huge game. I will say this about the Bears' defense. Jalen Johnson has been hurt, and he's by far their best corner. So the cornerback room is really bad, too. The run defense is bad. It's just a bad defense overall. And Caleb Williams, his stats look pretty good, but he's just not a very good quarterback. We've talked about it. Analytics doesn't like him either. He has a lot of weapons. Bears have a lot of really good offensive weapons. Rome Odunze, most people still aren't talking about him, but he was a 9th overall pick in 2024 draft. Really talented. He's big and he's fast. He's off to a great start this year. I just thought of something. This is the rematch of the Hail Mary game. Around the same time last year, Bears, I think, were 4-3, something like that. And they should have won the game, and the Bears defender was shouting at the Washington fans, got over late for the Hail Mary. It bounces in the air. Noah Brown catches it. Washington steals this game, and the Bears were awful after that. So, who am I taking? Yeah, I'm going to take Washington. I'm not taking the Bears. Give me Washington to win by a touchdown, cover the 4.5. 27-20. Okay. That is the preview. Make sure you check out the Lights Out podcast. Every Tuesday night, me and Mike, we talk baseball, college football, NFL. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, link in the description. Share this with anyone who loves football, like I said, so we can grow the channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so now and give me a thumbs up. Really helps out the channel. Comments really help as well, helps the algorithm. Anything about Giants-Eagles game, especially because, like I said, that's a much more important game for both franchises. You know, positive for the Giants, very negative for the Eagles. If you have not, please check these out, and I'll see you next week for the recap video.